Welcome to part two of Paco's Insight, episode 10 and a half, I guess you could call it. We're going to continue looking at this police brutality sort of video we've been watching. That's Defund the Police and all this. It's been very interesting. So let's get right into the video.
Yeah, if you guys are just tuning in now, watch part one before you watch this one because we're just about halfway, I think. Yeah, we're about halfway. So watch part one and then come back and watch this one.
I wouldn't call it militarized, but we have become more prepared in law enforcement to handle any situation. There are times, and we can throw out numerous, including George Floyd, that had nothing to do with militarization. That was a bad cop.
I wanted to go back to something that was pointed out earlier about SWAT. 80% of SWAT raids, according to ACLU, are by drug offenses. And I do agree with Ethan that it's not needed. The SWAT team is not needed for a drug case. You don't need to shoot someone for dealing drugs, for selling drugs, or for using drugs. I don't think that's really appropriate. I definitely do think race is an issue when it comes to these raids. Statistics have shown that Black and Hispanic people are likely to be incarcerated for these things, and Black people make up only 13% of the population, and Hispanics make up about 18%.
I support defunding the police. And just to make sure everybody whose camera is on, you are in support of defunding the police.
I don't know enough about it, and we do not know what that would look like to defund the police. I'm gonna learn from you guys what your opinions are on that and how you see defunding the police happening.
At the YJC, we're a no cop zone, so we don't work with police. We don't allow police in our space, and we've been calling for 5% of law enforcement's budget, which is a campaign that we have that's about defunding the police.
I fully agree with that, Paco. I fully support what she's saying. She wants to have a no cop zone, which they already had in Seattle. Didn't they have that in Seattle?
I guess.
The chop zone or whatever they called it, and it was horrible.
She's the definition of don't call the cops, call a crackhead.
Exactly.
She is the epitome of don't call the police, call a social worker.
Right. And they should. But you know what the social worker is going to say? I'm not going there without a cop.
Which that's how it should happen, because who's not to say that the social worker is going to knock on the door and then the door's going to open and there's going to be a gun pointed at him?
Exactly.
Or somebody's going to come out, because let's say that social worker goes to a mental health call to go and try and de-escalate it, talk to him or whatever, get the person the help that they need. The door swings open and they run at him with a knife. That social worker can't defend themselves. I mean, what's a social worker going to do? The move like Denzel Washington in The Equalizer, where he can slow down time and visualize what's around him just to kill this guy?
Yeah.
Not many people in society can have a situational awareness to disarm the guy and then turn the knife on him back on him. I mean, it's just,
agreed.
Cops should go to domestic violence calls or de-escalation calls, whatever that may entail for social workers. And I know there are some cities, towns, some states that have social workers go to calls. Is that a bad idea? Yes and no, because it can turn into a very bad idea. This is kind of not social workers, but that one overdose call that those two cops went to. They gave him 2 shots of Narcan. Guy pops up, acts like nothing happens, pulls a gun, shoots at police, and ends up accidentally killing a fireman.
That's sad.
Wrong place, wrong time. But let's say that was a social worker type call. That is a very sad thing that firefighter got shot and killed. Meanwhile, 2 minutes prior, he was just saving this guy's life because he was overdosing on. I think it was it was a heroin overdose. They gave him shots of Narcan on a bus, and the cops went to pat him down, and he's like, I don't like cops touching me. And, they told him to lift his shirt because they saw the gun imprinting, and he pulled it out, and one cop got shot in the shin. And then the other bullet ended up hitting the firefighter. That's a bad scenario, but that's what I'm trying to make my point is, what if they don't send what if they don't send cops or social worker calls and something was to happen? These social workers aren't really equipped to handle when stuff goes sideways. They're not. I mean, what are they going to start doing? Arming social workers now? They can't. It's just. Now, the whole gun-free zone, the gun-free zone, the cop-free zone, I don't know how I, feel about that, having cop-free zones.
It's extremely dangerous.
Yes.
There's no law and order there.
Yeah, and
but if she wants my support on it to do an experiment, we've already had one in Seattle and it was very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So we already know it's a problem. We don't need to try it out again. Yeah. But certainly, if she wants to live there, then somebody needs to give her a blessing and say, listen, let's put all these people in one area and just see what happens. You want to defund the police? We won't send any cops there. But, what happens when there's problems? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, you want to live in an area that doesn't have cops? All right, well, here, let's put you in an area where there's a bunch of rapists and, muggers and murderers, and see how long you'll go without actually wanting somebody to be there to help you.
And just make sure that everybody else knows that there's no cops there. You know what I mean? And I don't know who would want to live there. Who would want to go into that area? Who would want to risk their lives? That's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, more power to her. She thinks that's how she wants to have her life, where it's a cop-free zone. And if she can find a way to make it work and be safe, then, God bless. She's on, I don't want to say borrowed time, but I'm sure she's going to come across an instance where she's going to be like, I wish I could call 911 and have them come help me.
I feel like she needs to go live somewhere else.
Yeah.
Go live in a country where there's like no police.
Yeah. Yep. Good. She should go move to North Korea. She'll fit right in over there.
Yeah, North Korea, where the cops are just totally crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what happens
the
there?
minute she speaks out about her government, she's getting thrown in prison for 40 years.
Yeah, hard labor or something, one of those camps.
Yeah.
Justice, we're creating this thing called Community Alternatives to 911, where different folks that have different backgrounds, as in medical backgrounds, are able to support with trauma and sexual assault, mental health. When we think about crime, I think that the worst thing that this brings up sometimes is what about the murders? What about the rapists? What about school shootouts, right? If you're getting to the root
school
causes
shootouts,
of things, those surface things might or might not expand. And I think taking the money from law enforcement and again, putting that into schools, putting that into parks, putting that into youth development, youth jobs.
I've heard these plans where people will, I would say, minor mental health crises, neighbor disputes, civil. I'm okay if you defund the police, if that means you're taking resources from policing, shifting it to those other departments or whatnot, and having them handle it. So I can go out and get the murderers and the rapists and this and that, the robbers and all that stuff. It's just rhetoric to me is important. When you say defund the police, okay, I'm going to take that as literal, and then what the hell does that mean other than taking away our budget, having less cops, but we're still dealing with the same amount of workload that we were doing before? You're going to burn me out.
Yeah, so that guy's right.
I disagree with defunding the police. I do completely agree. You need more money being pumped into these resources, especially in these inner cities. the school system's a joke, and that's all over the nation. You know, why is it that I got to go to a school where I had all these sports programs that were completely paid for, and I had a business club I got to be a part of. These other communities don't have that, and it's not fair. But defunding the police, I also think is a bad idea, because if you just take money away, the problems aren't going to solve themselves immediately. So I think money's going to have to come from elsewhere. I mean, you look at all these monopolies getting away with tax evasion in our country. That's disgusting in itself. Why are these huge corporations getting away with so much? They're getting richer and richer and richer. Meanwhile, people at the very bottom, the low income, are just going to keep getting stepped on unless things change from the top.
You got to remember that if you want the best and the brightest police officers, you got to pay for it. And also, you start taking away funding from police departments and cities, those extras that really help, like the advocates and the assistants and those social workers, they're going to be the first to go. And it's going to be the patrol officers that stay. 2011, 2012, Governor Christie took away money from New Jersey. Camden was forced to cut 20% of its budget. The Washington Post did a great article on this. And what happened is they had a strong police union, so they went in and got rid of the police by taking away the whole department, brought in a county sheriff's department to cover it. Crime went down because they did the whole broken window theory. But what did go up was excessive force complaints. So the numbers are always skewed, but at the end of the day, it took the activists and it took the citizens working with the police to get both the crime down and to get the use of force and the police officer complaints down.
Now, I think Dorian hit it spot on, because if this was to occur, maybe relocating these resources elsewhere where people won't always have to feel like, oh, I'm going to call the police, in every situation. We got Karens up in Manhattan call the police on black men for bird watching and doing normal things. Like, police should not be the first ones to call for every little situation.
There are more good cops than bad.
There's about 800,000 cops in America, right? Take me, for example, I usually have about 10 to 20 calls.
Of course, it was that girl that would be like, yeah, there's more bad cops than good.
Citizen encounters on a day-to-day basis. I don't think that a majority of us, or even half
Paco.
of us going around.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward through this part, because if you don't think there's more good cops than bad, something's wrong with you. All right, let's hear what she got to say, though.
Yeah, where's when she pops up? Right there.
Yeah, let's hear what she's gonna, because she's gonna say some stuff.
Oh my God, we're about to rip her a new one.
We're about to be super tight.
Oh, don't.
Cop,
There
bad
we
cop.
go.
It's about that the system.
No, I gotta rewind it a little bit, I think.
Yeah, what?
There we go. Here we go.
This is not about good cop, bad cop. It's about that the system needs to be dismantled as a whole. It's about remembering how this system was built. The system of policing, right? And it was built to catch slaves. It's about the fact that you all work for institutions.
It was built to catch slaves? Let's go to history class right now on policing. Policing was built.
Can I make the suffering stop?
You had sheriffs, and then you had constables on patrol, cops. And all they did was enforce laws that were already on the books. There was no community policing. There were no guns. All they did was night watch. They'd go out and make sure that the areas were safe. That's all that they did. They were basically security guards. They didn't go out and round up slaves.
And she's sitting there literally saying, policemen were founded on catching slaves.
Cops were never slave catchers.
No.
That's not real. That's ridiculous.
Show up to hurt, harm. I was arrested at the age of 11. And even just thinking about that, right? Policing.
Because you probably deserved it.
Being arrested and in juvenile halls and all those things, right? All these systems. That's what policing is. Like, you're on the wrong side, and I'm also thinking about I have a daughter too, and her father was severely beat by the police, by LAPD, went to court. The cop was not convicted of anything, but it was brought up that this specific officer.
I don't want to rash on her kid, but the minute she just told me that she has a kid, I instantly felt bad.
Oh yeah.
Because we know damn well she's raising her kid to have the same messed up views that she has, and it's gonna.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
struggling. I'm struggling to keep this clean. I want everyone who watches this channel to know. I appreciate you guys as viewers. I'm glad, I try to respect everyone's opinions here, but I'm really struggling on this girl. This lady here is like, there's no middle ground with her.
And to touch base on what Nick is saying, he's saying about keeping it clean. We try our best not to swear. Yeah, we may slip up, but if this was on my other channel, we'd be ripping into this girl. Like,
there's no question about it. I mean, this is the only real participation I have on YouTube right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you that this lady is off the charts. What she says is off of the charts.
Like, she's like, I was arrested when I was 11.
Okay.
When
what
you're
11-year-old's getting arrested?
When you're 11 years old, hon, it's not called you getting arrested. It's called you go to juvenile detention.
And it's called you're crazy. At 11 years old, what the hell did you do?
At 11 years old, if you're getting sent to juvie, that means you probably stabbed your mother with a freaking fork. Like,
you weren't stealing Kit Kat bars from Dollar Tree.
You weren't. Yeah, like you wouldn't get arrested for stealing a Kit Kat bar or taking a lollipop or a pair of sneakers from a store. Yeah, no, that would get you a slap on the wrist. And then she touches base. Oh, my boyfriend was brutally beaten by cops.
No
Who is he? Rodney King? Like, I highly doubt that he was severely beaten by cops. And I hate to go there, but if he did get his ass beaten, it was probably most likely warranted. He probably did something that earned him that beating. Because all these videos that I see of cops beating the crap out of people, it's usually 90% of the time it's warranted because the guy usually pulls away from them, and that's when the use of force turns into play. It was most likely warranted. So she's just sitting there to try and make all cops look bad and that cops are out there arresting slaves. Kind of seems like she's referring to African American people as slaves when she talks about cops, because apparently that's what cops are out there doing, catching slaves. So I really don't meet eye to eye, and I kind of hope the comment section on this video doesn't agree with her either, but I have a feeling there's a lot of people out there that have her same viewpoints.
I was just going to say the same thing. I want to see what happens in the comment section about this. Please make sure that you interact with us so that we want to hear your opinion on her. I mean, It's all, we want to hear about all of it, but what do you think about this lady, Dorian, or whatever her name is?
Yeah, and
what's her name?
Gloria. Gloria. And me and Nick ain't coming at this with any certain set of mind point, like a certain set of viewpoint. We're saying everything we're saying is our opinion. Everybody's entitled to opinion. If you agree with her, then that's fine. That you can do that. We just don't agree with that mindset. It's outlandish where she's coming from. That police were founded to catch slaves, and that we're living on stolen land, and she's the only one that agreed that there are more bad cops than good. Like, she goes out there every day and thinks that every cop that has a uniform on, probably she thinks anybody who has a uniform on, so that's cops, security guards, she probably thinks that anybody who has a uniform on or some kind of authority is the spawn of Satan. And if and if that's her outlook on it, that's fine. But she takes me as the type of person that when she gets pulled over by the cops, she pulls out her BS checklist and says, you know, you don't need to have a license to travel, right? Yeah, but you need to have a license to drive a car. Yeah, but I'm not driving, I'm traveling. She takes me as one of those people who is a sovereign citizen that does not listen to the rules and guidelines that police have. She follows her own rules, and I just don't understand how people get through life living like that, you know?
100%.
You know, but she takes me as the type of person that licked windows on school buses when she was a kid.
Oh, here we go.
Like, I don't want to go there, but little Johnny in the seat behind her probably put a booger on the window, and she went, ooh, protein. And, like, oh, God. I'm trying to keep it PG, but the more I talk about it, it just...
Paco's he's getting tight.
Yeah, let's finish what she has to say, and if she says anything else stupid, I'll touch base on it.
Had been also beating different people. Yeah, he was still in the field. He was still working. He was still getting paid. Policing as a whole and the system that is is like grabbing onto systemic racism, right? Because when you think about who are in these prisons, who are in these jails, who is in custody, you're talking about Black and brown people. So it doesn't matter if there's the Black cop, is the Latino cop, is the white cop. Like, if you're seeing the injustice going on in the departments, because I know you all see it in different levels. And you're not saying anything, and what can you really say, right? And I'm not done talking, right?
I know, but
no, I'm not gonna stop talking for you. I'm not. Because like, you all want to cover each other's asses or whatever, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, it wasn't one cop, it wasn't 3 cops that killed 948 people. It was several cops that have not been indicted by the district attorney or by anyone else. So why are we gonna keep the little narrative around good cop, bad cop? No, the whole system needs to go.
And see, this is the exact thing that I was talking about. I don't want to go back and forth, and I didn't mean to cut you off. That was. I apologize for that. But the problem is, you keep speaking for me, right? So now you said you know that. That's exactly what you said. You guys know this. You do. Like, you don't know nothing about me. You don't know anything about me. I don't know anything about you, so I would never assert what I've gone through in my life on you. That's what you just.
I'm not talking about Dorian, because the question was around good cop, bad cop.
That's what you.
I like how she wouldn't let him cut her off. She wouldn't let him cut her off, but now she can cut him off. So that's okay, right?
This is a swish. Let it happen.
Yeah.
That's why I said rhetoric is important, because that's what you said. You said all three of you guys know what I'm talking about.
Law enforcement, because that's what the question is centered around.
You can't. That's why I said rhetoric to me is most important, because we're having a conversation. You and I, Gloria. You everybody is here is having a conversation. So when you say you, I have never seen this before. Personally, I've never seen something like that. Right? If I did, you damn right I would say something. I don't give a shit if I lose my job. Okay, because I got in this to do the right thing.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid when I see the police every single time, because I don't know what that interaction is going to lead to. I don't know if you are having a good day, because you all have more power in terms of power dynamics, whether you can escalate and whether because now I'm a threat for whatever. Maybe I might have said something. Maybe I have something. Maybe I made the wrong move.
You may be afraid because your experiences, that's fine. I'm not taking away from anything, but there's also other viewpoints, right? Not just yours. I respect your viewpoint, right? I would actually recommend, because
I don't respect your viewpoint at all.
To see what we do. You may not want to. I got you. I'm just saying. Just to see, because people think.
Look at how worked up she is. She's like literally ready to leave. She doesn't want nothing.
It doesn't take my sense of humanity out of me just because I became a law enforcement officer. Right? I'm not taking anything from anyone.
I think our country will.
All right, I want to touch base before they touch base on the last thing. What she said about, I'm scared every time I see the cops because I don't know how that interaction is going to be. Your interaction with that police officer is going to be based off of your conduct, how you conduct yourself in the conversation. If you're going to come across as a douchebag right from the jump, then the cop's going to act like a douchebag back.
A cop is not allowed to escalate on their own volition, right? A cop can't say, because she's talking to me a certain type of way, because she's being rude. Now I have to escalate force. A cop can only escalate force when there's a threat perception.
Mhm.
You know, there's a lot of different reasons why a cop can escalate force, but it's not just because somebody's a douche. There has to be more reasons than that. So the fact that you ended up getting killed by the police or shot by the police, or there was a physical interaction with the police or whatever, that's all just reactive to what you're doing. Because the power dynamic is that the cop's not going to get killed because you're a criminal. The power dynamic is that the cop has to gain control of the situation. They can't gain compliance, but they can gain control. So if you're going to pull a gun on a cop, actually, you pull a knife on a cop. Does the cop pull a knife? No. The cop pulls a gun, one step above. If you pull out a gun, the cop can now fire his gun or her gun because you have a gun. That's pretty standard. If you're fighting a cop can use the tools that they have to gain control. A baton, pepper spray, the rubber bullet things, whatever. Because they don't get paid to go to work and get killed or get hurt. They don't. You are acting a certain type of way. They are reacting to meet you with that. I can clearly tell that she has an issue with the cops, but she also has a criminal past that she's already disclosed. Her baby daddy has a criminal past that she's already told us about. Whatever the cops did to handle those situations were purely reactive in nature. That's just the name of the game. And if it's not reactive, similar to Derek Chauvin's situation, that's excessive use of force. That's how you end up in a spot. That's how they end up burning down a city. So clearly, if it was that big of an issue, it would be on the news. But what people perceive as excessive use of force and what the law says is objectively reasonable are two different things. So, and if you have a question about that, put it in the comments, and we can clarify that in another video. I have no problem talking about that, but that's a whole separate issue to get into, and we're touching on that every Monday when we do the weekly wrap-up summary on those Derek Chauvin things. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, but like I said, every time I hear Gloria open her mouth, I want to literally just punch my computer screen. I just don't. Her viewpoints on, like, and I keep saying this, are so far out there that it's just.
She's crazy.
She's crazy. And like I said, another thing that pisses me off too, what she did to that guy is, I get it. He tried to cut her off, but he stopped himself and he apologized. And then he goes to talking and she goes to cut him off. Like, she like, and then, and another thing that she mentioned too about all the people that are in the prisons, the blacks and the Latinos and all that stuff. They're not the only people that are inside prison. There's more races in prison than just blacks and Latinos. There's whites, there's Asians, now if you do it by percentages or by numbers, then that's a different story. But like, she's making it sound like cops are only going out there locking up blacks, locking up Latinos, and that's
and
their
as far as like the race stuff, doesn't that have to go into something other than police? Like, isn't that just politics and like just communities and the way people live their lifestyles and cultures? And it's not really the cops' fault that there's crime difference in race. Like, that's not a cop's fault. That's just society. That's cultural. That's not a cop's decision, a one cop or all cops or nothing,
And I would actually kind of like to see Gloria's viewpoint on the Asian hate going around. The hate for the Asian community. I'd love to see her viewpoint on that. Is she going to chalk that up to the police too, or is she going to make up her own excuse for that?
Gloria is the kind of person that if she became a cop, she's the one that would use the excessive use of force. She would be the one that would be power hungry with a gun and badge. She's the type of person. So
She would be the one that would be going out there shooting the white people.
Yeah, I encourage her to go out and work as a cop and see what it is, or maybe go on ride-alongs or something to change her mind.
I would love to see Gloria do a one of those use of force training simulators where they put you in a scenario, whether you got to use your gun, taser,
Yes.
or I would love to see how she would react in that. Guaranteed that if she's in a scenario where somebody will come at her with a knife, she would shoot the guy. And then when they ask her, "Oh, why did you pull your gun?" "Oh, because he came at me with a knife." "Okay, well, that's why this cop in this instance shot him in real life, because he came at him with a knife."
That's why they killed 900 people in 20 years.
Yeah, because out of those 900 people, 120 of them probably had knives or deadly weapons. Her, like I said, her viewpoints are just so out there that I wonder how. To be honest with you, I wonder how she's made it this far. She's making a big deal about, "Oh, I was arrested when I was 11." Yeah, but at 11, if you're getting arrested, you definitely did something that warranted needing to go to juvenile detention. Cops just don't pick up an 11-year-old and say, "All right, you're going to juvie," unless you did something like carjacking or, something that was, a serious offense. And I wouldn't, in her, I wouldn't even, getting locked up at 11, I wouldn't even consider that being locked up. Juvenile is not like an actual jail. Like, you go to juvenile detention and you're getting pancakes for breakfast and ice cream for dessert.
Yeah.
Like, it does not compare to an actual jail. And I've done a field trip to an actual jail. I went to Dartmouth House of Corrections. That place is no joke. I mean, I was there as a field trip, and I saw how bad those inmates can get. And I've heard stories from COs that have worked there, when I went on my field trip. I mean, those COs deal with a lot of crap. And by deal with a lot of crap, I mean they literally get crap thrown at them. And they go to work every day. That takes a special mindset to be able to go to work, and basically know that the day you had before is going to be the same again, because you're going to deal with the same people again. It takes a different set of mindset, and I tip my hat to those people that can, to the COs and that can deal with that environment every day. I can only imagine how stressful it was. I mean, I was stressed out being there just for a field trip. So hats off to, all the COs and especially the cops out there. I mean, it's, like I said, it's tough times to be a cop.
Make it through these divisive times.
I mean, I think we would. I know we will, because this is a stepping point for our country, and people are waking up and wanting a better nation for everybody, for all of us. At the end of the day, there might be bloodshed, there might be lives lost, there might be tears cried or whatever. African American people in this country been through 400 years of slavery. We've been through Jim Crow. We've been through the 60s. We've been through everything. So we definitely gonna make it through.
I think it starts with what we're doing here. It starts with communication. I think it turn off TV a little when it comes to being manipulated by the news, and things kind of die down.
I agree with that.
What it really takes is not forcing somebody to see your view, but to actually communicate and come up with a solution, working with both sides. And I think if we do that, then we'll definitely be stronger from it. It's what we don't know that scares us. But when we open up and see other people's points of view and see how other people live and their expectations, I think we can get a lot farther.
I was a part of a protest they're called the New York City Students for Justice, and we're talking high schoolers who are 17 and 18-year-olds. They're organizing their own protests that thousands of people attended. It gave me a lot of hope, because I'm like, these kids are going to get far. I definitely think they're the future for our country.
You guys saying that gives me hope, because I guess I'm cynical. I think we're going to destroy each other before that happens. You're right. The younger people, the younger generation are the future. And like Will said, it all starts with conversation. So I'm going to change my answer now.
So I'm sorry to be so negative, but I think all of us, law enforcement and the communities we serve, I think we want to work together. We need your guys' support to do our jobs. But the fact of the matter is there's so much corruption out there at the higher levels, and I don't think it's going to change. I think the more that we communicate on our levels is really important, and it can somewhat keep the peace. But as a whole, things are not going to change until the higher ups start doing something about what's happening in America.
Yeah, I'm just really I want to acknowledge the fact that if these systems don't change, we will continue to be uprising. We will continue to have protests, have demands, have solutions. And I was really just remembering all the moms that I've heard had their loved ones or their sons killed by law enforcement. And what would they want to see? What justice do they deserve? Right? What justice does George Floyd deserve? Does Waukesha Wilson? Does Breonna? Right? Like and it's so many.
Jesus Christ! I knew that name was going to get dropped.
This is not going to stop until we have change.
You guys are all great. I appreciate you. I'm going to ask that you all log out and just kind of say goodbye to each other. Close it.
Okay, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Can I ask Gloria something, though? Oh, damn. Everyone, you guys be safe.
I didn't even think that girl Gloria even said bye.
That girl Gloria sucked. You know, her interactions with the cops are based on her behavior, based on her criminality, not because the cop wanted to do something. This has been Paco's Insight 10.5, where we continued, we piggybacked on this video here about defunding the police. I guess I don't particularly care what side you're on in this argument, but we are interested in hearing, you know, whether you side to defund or to invest in policing. Tell us about how the police operate in your community. If you like this content, let us know that you'd like us to continue doing reactions to stuff like this. If you like more of our other episodes, check out the Gold Diggers. We did a nice video on gold diggers that people seem to like.
Mm-hmm.
So just let us know if any particular content you're interested in, and we'll be on later on today. We're going to be discussing something with Derek, so we'll see how that goes. And we hope you enjoy the channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this to your friends. Paco, any last words, buddy?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys sticking through us. I know this was a long Paco's Insight, you know, but like I said, I figured we owe it to you guys considering we didn't stream the other day. But yeah, no, they made a lot of good viewpoints, you know, and like I said, if you, like Nick said, if you have any, you know, you want to share your opinions, or if you agree with anything me and Nick said, or
you disagree. If you disagree, let us know. I'm not, you know, we want to hear about it, all right?
Yeah.
Keep it real.
Yeah, keep it real, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.